welcome to season 2, episode 1 of Career Conversations with Felicia H.
Walker.
I cannot believe we're in season 2. And this episode is about to be fire. I have a very, very special guest. Oh, she is my friend, my sister, my little sister, my sorority sister. She is all those things. My live sister's little sister. Come on, you say that. Delta Sigma Theta in the house.
Yes. Ooh.
Camille Young. Welcome to the very first episode of season 2. Welcome.
Thank you. I am elated to be here with you. I have watched your episode, so I am humbled that you've asked me to be here. So thank you so much.
Wow. So how's your day been today? Have you been thinking about this interview? Have you been thinking about, okay, I hope I answered the questions right? Have you been nervous at all? Tell me about what you've been feeling today.
All of that, and I went to church. I had to go to 2 services today, so I've been on a roll. But of course, the interview has been in the back of my mind. Like, what will I say? How will I answer? Just being excited about being a part of this on today.
Awesome. So, were you singing today? Because let me tell you all, Camille is a singer, not a singer, but a singer. She's singing. So, were you singing today in the service?
I did.
Okay. All right. Were you leading, or were you with your sister?
I have to lead a song. I was on the praise team today.
Okay.
Anything.
Okay. Well, listen, we are going to jump right in. For those of you who are new to Career Conversations with Felicia H. Eaton, this is just a time for me to have conversations with some amazing women about their career journey, right? And if you listen, you can learn from them. You know, a lot of times we make mistakes in life, but some of those mistakes we don't have to make if we just listen to other people and listen to their mistakes and how they overcame. And so I am just going to encourage you to listen and take notes if you need to. And if there's a mistake or something that's going on in your life that you don't feel like you know how to get out, listen. You'll probably get your answer out of this conversation because it is about to be crazy in here. All right. So, Camille, we are going to get started with our first question. And I have my questions written down because I can't depend on my brain. I mean, there's a million things going on in my head right now. So I have my questions written down. So question number 1, tell us about you. Tell us about your story, just kind of where you're from, your schools, and your family. So tell us about you.
So I am a native Memphian, and anybody know anything about Memphis? We say Maine. I'm a native Memphian, Maine. Yes, I grew up here, went through the Memphis City school system, Springdale, Snowden, junior high, and graduated from the high school, the Central High School. And I went on to go to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and that's where I did my bachelor's degree. But my family, I'm the youngest of 6. I am not the spoiled one, okay? But I am the youngest of 6.
I don't know about that, Camille. I
don't know. And I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and our parents grew us up. We were a family of faith. My father was a pastor. My mother started out being a chemist at Buckman Laboratories, but she wanted to leave her job to raise her 6 children. And so she came home, raised her children, and it benefited us down through the years, even after she and my father passed away. As I said before, we are a family of faith. I could not have gotten through this life without my faith in God. So that's my strong foundation where I live. That's where I live in my faith.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. I didn't know that about your mom. So your mom was a chemist.
Yes. She was the first Black female chemist at Buckman Laboratories.
Wow. I had no idea. I hate that I'm admitting that right now, but I did not know. Right. So that's awesome. So talk about your dreams. Like when you were younger, what were your dreams for your life and how did they compare to where you are right now?
I remember growing up saying that I was going to be a pediatrician. because I've always had like a love for babies. Even as a little girl, I remember feeding other people's kids. I think 6 or 7 years old. I would always reach for the baby, hold the baby and feed them their bottle. I was a babysitter growing up. So I babysat a lot of kids. And I don't know, I don't know what made me want to be a pediatrician, but that was just what I used to say. Now, am I a pediatrician? Absolutely not. Life did not go that right.
Whatever.
Life did not go that route. But as a child, I do recall wanting to be a pediatrician, and some things happened to me in life that kind of deterred me in a negative manner. And I don't know if you want me to go into that right now, but that's part of the.
We can get around to it. Okay.
We'll get around to it. Yes. So yeah, that was probably my greatest dream. Another thing too, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. That's what my mom modeled for us. So I always felt like, if I didn't become a pediatrician, or if I became a pediatrician, I would come off of my job like my mother to raise my children. So those are probably my greatest dreams.
It takes a really strong woman to have her own career, to have her own thing going, and to be able to say, I want to put my family first.
Yeah.
That takes courage. Yeah.
She had 6 children, not 1, 2, or 3, 6 children and one income. But we made it through. Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. So you talked about your dream as a young person, how it compares to now. Now let's talk about your career story. Take us on your career journey. I hate to sound like I'm interviewing you. You know how they'll say, tell me about your work experience, but take us through your career journey. Tell us about that.
So honestly, my career journey has been all over the place, to be honest.
Okay.
When I graduated from UT, I did start out, my degree is in human services. So I started out at pretrial services as a domestic violence court counselor, where I worked in the courtroom, worked with defendants, people who had been charged with domestic violence. And then I went on from there and started working. Yes.
Can we pin that? Because did you know that my undergrad was in human services?
I did not know that.
It was. So my was in human services, and then my master's was in social work. So,
gotcha.
Wow.
I did social work, but I thought your undergrad was in social work too.
Nope, it was in human services. Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's UT too, right? Yeah.
UT, that's right.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome.
So yes. And so I left pretrial services with Shelby County Pretrial Services, and then I stayed in Shelby County and went into a domestic violence victims advocate. So I went from working with more so the defendants to working with the victims of domestic violence. And I did that for several years. And then I decided that I wanted to go to barber school. Okay, because what led me to that was the jobs that I was on with Shelby County, they were grant funded. And that was kind of like in the earlier years when grants were going on. And it was like, well, you may be funded this year, you may not be funded that year. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm tired of being threatened with possibly not having my job. So I said, well, I need me a side hustle.
Right.
So I decided to go to barber school. I went to barber school, finished barber school, and I was a master barber for 9.5, almost 10 years.
Well, come on, female barber. I love it.
Yes. And then I liked barbering so much, I went back and got my barber's instructor's license. Okay. So I was a master barber instructor for a while.
Wow.
And then, girl, I told you it's all over the place. You got some time. And then I went on I kept barbering, but to help supplement my income, because when you're starting a new business, you're building your clientele, right. And it's a cash business, that type thing. So I started back working in the social services department with Shelby County again, part-time. So I was kind of barbering part-time and doing the social services work part-time. And I did that for a good while. And then around 2013, I had the opportunity to work at UT Health Science Center.
Okay.
I was a health educator, and I worked with women who were pregnant. And because, people may not have realized, but Memphis has a strong, we have challenges with poverty.
We do.
And one of the area codes at that time had the highest infant mortality rate. I wouldn't say it was the world, but I know the nation for sure.
Right.
So that was a grant funded position. And so I was a health educator for that.
Wow.
And then after that, I landed at Achievement Network, which was a totally different career. That was in education. It was a nonprofit ed reform organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there for about 5.5 years. And now so after I left Achievement Network, I'm getting there, y'all.
Come on.
COVID hit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
2020, March of 2020.
Okay.
And I had been promoted as far as I could go with Achievement Network, and we call it ANET short.
Mm-hmm.
But and there was an opportunity to do a voluntary separation and leave with a little money. So I decided to do that. And during that time, I left Achievement Network. And during that time, I was able to write my book. Yeah. I was able to write my book, Oh, to Behold, the Power of Self-Love and Walking in Your God-Given Purpose. I started my YouTube channel, and I did a life coaching certification during that time. And I got my life insurance license as well as my property and casualty insurance license. So, baby, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of about 3. So, okay.
So what that says about is that, and what I feel like that tells our audience is that there is not just one way to get to your goal, right? And the fact that your goal changes throughout life. Your interest changes throughout life. The things that you are able to master can change.
Yep.
Like education is endless. Education should be ongoing. And that's what your career journey says to me, is that when it was time to make a change, you made the change, right? When there was a time in your life where you were like, okay, I'm really not feeling this. I'm too anxious about my job going away. I love helping people, but this is bringing on some stuff that I don't like. So let me do something different. A lot of times I feel like people will get this one idea in their head. People will, have told them what they should do in their life, and that's what they go towards. And then when they don't accomplish that goal, then it brings on this, sometimes a feeling of depression, a feeling of being left out, or that feeling of just not thinking positive about themselves because they didn't do things the way other people expected them to do it.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head for that. A lot of people have questioned me around a lot of the changes that I've made with my career. But for me, at the end of the day, I see it as I did a lot of what I wanted to do, not what other people expected me to do. And I'm successful at all of it.
Right.
And that's the beauty of it. And don't get me wrong, just because you may not have been successful in something, that doesn't mean that wasn't where you were supposed to be.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I jumped out and took a leap of faith on several of the things that I named, because those were the things that I wanted to do. And I can, if I had a bucket list, I can check those off. I did those things. So I'm excited. And it gave me an array of experiences. Yes. I met so many people, and learned so much during those experiences as well. So I don't regret any of the changes that I've made. Wow.
I love that. Well, since you brought it up,
okay.
Can we gym right here? Oh, so I'm just going to read something to you, and then we're going to dive into how this book came about. Okay. I love the fact that it came about during COVID, that you used that time wisely, because we will never get that time back. They will probably never shut the world down again, ever. Like,
Right.
but because of that, the world has changed. And a lot of people had an opportunity to reflect on their life. Some people just use that time just to reflect and fix themselves. But you reflected and said, you know what, let me help somebody else. So I love it. So let me read you this, because this book, I think I lost sleep. I've lost some sleep over just reading this book, thinking about my own life, thinking about those things that I need to change, thinking about those things that those people that I need to call up and say, hey, I'm sorry, right? Because anyway, let me read this to you. It says, so you're talking about being whole, right? And it says, whereas perfection is never making a mistake, wholeness is about learning from your mistakes. Whereas perfection is about doing, wholeness is about being. Whereas perfection is often about pleasing others, wholeness is about pleasing God and yourself. Talk about the book, Camille, please. Oh my! And I have to underline for real. I said, please help me get my entire life together, right?
Right.
And it's so important to get whole. It's so important to heal yourself, to heal your inner child, to heal those things that happened to you in the past, because you can't successfully move forward if you don't heal those areas that need to be healed. And we stop holding grudges, right? So anyway, talk about the book, Camille. Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is what's crazy about the book. I've never been a writer. I've never desired to be an author. That's never been an aspiration. When you ask me about childhood dreams, that's never been an aspiration of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I know it was the Lord that led me to write the book, because He gave me the title. I mean, it was just like in an instant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know the first thing about writing a book. So, but as I began to pen the words, it flowed. It really did. And I'm not saying I didn't have moments where I was like, okay, what do I say next? But for the most part, the book flowed. And again, whole WH, there's an acrostic for that. WHOLE, that's welcome growth, heal from your trauma, optimize every opportunity that's for you, love yourself and lean into your talents, gifts, and passions, and E is eternal perspective. And for me, that encapsulates these braces wholeness for me. That's what it means to me in order to be whole. But to the excerpt that you just read, you know, a lot of people are striving for perfection. And you know, that's an okay goal to have, but you put yourself in a predicament to mess up, because guess what? No one is perfect.
No one is perfect.
We're not perfect. So we're going to mess up. We're going to do things. So again, when we talk about perfection, it's not about perfection. It's about being your authentic self. It's about bringing the true person that you are to whatever situation that you may be facing, and not allowing perfection to halt your growth, to halt your progression in life. And that's kind of where that thought came from, you know. A perfectionist, people think that, you know, everything has to be in line. No, some stuff just gonna be raggedy. All right. You just have to be okay with it. You have to be okay and be like, okay, I can do better, but nothing is ever perfect. So it's removing the belief that you have to be perfect or things have to be perfect in your life.
I love that. I love that. Now, as I read the book, I can say that I was on an emotional roller coaster just reading the book. But I can only imagine what that was like for you as the author. So talk about, what was that experience for you as the author? Like, what did you go through?
Yes, it was an emotional roller coaster. Absolutely. You know, when I reflected, because I wanted to, you know, be transparent around the feelings and emotions and the experiences that I had, having to reflect back on those things, I recall tears coming to my eyes and me crying, and even having difficulty typing the words out. Yeah. Because it brought me to that. I mean, it was like I was back in that moment. one experience in particular, when I talk about how I was rejected by my when I went into middle school. And I wasn't accepted by some of my friends that I had gone through all of elementary with. And they got their own friend group, and it's like we were never friends before. And I remember feeling that rejection again as a, at that time, 45-year-old, 46-year-old woman. Like, dang, that hurt. I tears welled up in my eyes. So yes, it was, and I laughed about certain things that I recalled in the book as well, but it was an emotional roller coaster for me. And it also realizing that the things that I'm sharing, now the world is going to know. It's not just me knowing or maybe sharing with a family member or a friend, but the world knows. So there is a level of exposure that I put on myself, and I'm like, okay, am I okay with the world knowing this about me? And I was like, you know what? So be it. So be it. This is what it is.
Yeah. So I wrote something down just now. So you talked about that rejection that you felt as a child. I had a similar situation growing up. So I was bullied as a child, and then for me, I'll share this, and one day it'll be in my book. Yay, you've inspired me. But I didn't know my father as, growing up. I didn't meet my father until I was 18 years old. So when you talk about rejection, that's the ultimate rejection, right? From that one of two people that's supposed to love you unconditionally, right? And so that was that ultimate rejection that caused so many ripples in my life. Oh my goodness. But I have since healed from that situation, made that connection, right? And have moved on. But now that's a story that I'm so ready to share, so ready to help other people through. But that rejection is real. And whether it happened when we were 4 or 44, it can impact our lives, and we don't even recognize and realize that it's how it's impacting our lives, right?
Absolutely. And that's the H in whole, heal from your trauma. Whatever your trauma is, some people don't even recognize that they have trauma. They know something is going on, but not really ready to face what the trauma is that happened in their life. And you mentioned this earlier, until you heal from that trauma, and you have to face it first. And once you face and admit that, hey, this happened to me, this was real, this has impacted my life in this manner, and you addressing it properly, until you do those things, as I like to do, the hard work. I'm talking about, this is hard work to really face the hardships, the heartbreaks of your life, the disappointments, the rejection, failure, all of those things. It's difficult to face those things, but you have to do it if you want to really progress in the manner in which you desire. Heal from that. Yes. Right.
So let's talk about that, because I feel like this is kind of turning into a healing workshop. I don't know, but I don't want people to come to watch our time together and listen and then come away with, how do I do that? Right? How do I heal? What does facing that trauma, what does that look like? In your opinion, I have my opinions, but in your opinion, what does doing the hard work look like? Just a couple of things that they can do.
Yes. As I said in the book, you have to face your ugly. Okay. Yeah. You have to be able to look in that mirror and say, this is me. Whether and admit that what that ugly is about you. Whether it's jealousy, whether it's insecurity, whether it's envy, all of the negative things that we don't want to believe about ourselves. You gotta face that. You gotta admit, okay, I have a challenge, I have an issue with this. This is something that I need to admit first. And then once you admit that, then you can decide, okay, do I need further counseling or therapy? Therapy is a thing.
Beautiful.
a beautiful thing, and it's an investment in yourself.
Right.
You know, you're gonna either pay the therapist or you're gonna pay your medical doctor, because it's gonna weigh on your physical body when you don't deal with those deep hurts, those deep traumas in your life. And so I would say that would be definitely the first step, is admitting those things that are ugly about yourself, that you don't necessarily even like about yourself, or that you've noticed, you know what, I kind of got a jealous spirit, or when I see something for somebody else, I don't get excited, you know, those type of, start admitting those things. And that is definitely the first step and then the second thing is being okay that, okay, all right, that's the truth about me, being okay with it. And going on, and again, I'm a woman of faith, you know, allowing yourself to forgive yourself. You gotta forgive yourself. You know, we can forgive others, but do we forgive ourselves? Certain things that may have happened to us, and knowing that it wasn't your fault, even if you think it was, for what you knew at that time, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault.
And you talked about some key things that people say that are really just cover up. So, and one thing stood out to me when people, and I've said it myself, but when people say, "Oh, that's just who I am. I've been that way my entire life." Just because that's who you've been your entire life does not mean that that's the right way to be. Then that's probably something that you're covering up. And for me, when you're saying that about yourself, when people say, "Oh, if they're saying, oh, you're mean," and you come back and you say, "Oh, that's just who I am. I've always been that way." Well, stop yourself. If you're hearing that from more than one person, right, Camille? If you're hearing that from more than one person and people are saying you're mean and you're always coming back with, "That's just who I am," stop and think about, why am I this way? That's how you look yourself in the mirror. That's admitting you're ugly. That's admitting and being honest with yourself about that ugly side that you really are ashamed of. But you don't, when other people point it out, it kind of embarrasses you and you don't know how to come back from that. So that's a great example of, just trying to cover up the trauma and the hurt that you've experienced in your life, because that comes from somewhere.
Right. That's exactly right. And that W in whole is welcome growth. That means that you have to listen to the feedback, as you said, of other people and how they perceive and how they experience you as well.
Right.
Be open for that feedback. So love it.
Wow. Well, listen, I have a few more questions, but tell everyone where they can get your book, where they can find your podcast. This is not the end of the podcast. Don't go anywhere, people, but I leave this moment without talking about where people can grab your book, where they can see your podcast, and where they can go to feel safe and to start their healing process.
Yes. So you can find to Behold, the power of self-love and walking in your God-given purpose on tobehold.com. All right, tobehold.com. You can get your book today. Yeah, thank you. tobehold.com. And then I do my YouTube channel every Thursday. I do a new video on YouTube, and it's called "Oh to Behold" with Camille Young. So everything is pretty much "Oh to Behold."
I love it. So proud of you. Congratulations. We'll have to talk later on how you were able to publish and all that good stuff, because
For sure.
Right. Okay. So let's let's go back and visit your career. When you first entered the workforce, do you feel like you were prepared to enter the workforce, and why, or why not?
I do feel like I was prepared to enter the workforce, because I went straight into the field that I was in. I could have gotten a minor in criminal justice, but didn't want to do the extra hours. Right, you ready to get out of school?
Right.
I went straight into the criminal justice system, and a lot of the information that we learned, because I did an internship before I graduated. I did feel prepared, as well as I grew up seeing my father with a great work ethic. So I knew that I had to go in and be at work at 8 o'clock, and work those 8 hours and, and be off the clock. So I felt like I had the knowledge as well as the work ethic to do a good job on my new job when I entered the workforce. Yes.
Awesome. So what characteristics do you feel like were key as you were entering the workforce? Because this podcast, we're teaching people about, how to properly enter the workforce, those things that they may be missing or may have missed and may need to correct. So what do you feel like were some strong characteristics that led to you being prepared to go into the workforce?
I want to be honest. I gotta always say my faith. Nothing is for sure, but when you are, for me, when I believe in God, and so every time I went to an interview, I prayed.
Absolutely.
Candidates, there are other candidates, and so of course my faith helped me through those processes. But after getting the job, I'm going to be honest. I feel like being a woman of integrity, being a woman of my word, which is a part of the work ethic and all of that, making sure that I'm doing my job well, and being willing to not just do my job, but sometimes go above and beyond, because people are watching. Right. Okay. People are watching, and not doing it to get a pat on the back, but you're trying to learn more. You're wanting to be promoted. You're wanting to have opportunities to move forward and to grow. So you sometimes you need to do a little more when you can. Not all the time, but I'm just saying sometimes you need to do that. Also, I always try to go into any work environment, or really any environment that I'm in. But since we're specifically talking about the career, I like to have fun. I enjoy. I love people. I love to laugh. And I try to keep be a part of a harmonious group, and just having a good culture, a good atmosphere to work in, where we can laugh and genuinely like each other. And I think those things have helped me along the way, because anytime I've moved from one job to another, people have always, that's one of the compliments that they've given, that I make people laugh, or, I try to keep the drama down. I don't like all that drama now.
No.
Keep that away from me. Yeah. We're not going to sit up and just talk about people. We're not going to do that. We might laugh at their shoes, but we're going to laugh and keep it moving. But we're not just going to talk about people. So just being don't come in being the mean, hardcore person who, just being anal about everything. No, come on, let's have a good time. We spend a lot of time at work, so why not enjoy it while we're there?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hold for 1 second. My son is coming in the door. Hey, son. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing a podcast. Thank you. Okay. So let me ask you, what do you see in other people? What do you feel like stagnates other people when they enter the workforce, or while they're in the workforce? What do you feel like are those characteristics that really hold them back?
I would say probably,
you may have already just talked about it, but
I know what held me back in some instances. And I would venture to say that most people probably deal with the same thing when they are just stuck. It's fear. It's fear. Yeah. And whether it's fear of failure, whether it's fear of rejection, whether it's fear of not being good enough, it's hard to put yourself out there when you don't believe in yourself already. Right. And those are challenges that I have had to overcome as well in my life, where, you don't have the self-esteem that you need to really go for what you know. Right. I just did on my last video talking about believing and betting on you. If you don't believe and bet on you,
how can you expect anybody else to?
Exactly. So I believe that holds people back from really going after what they probably really want. And I'll also say sometimes mean-spiritedness. People who are just negative Nancy's, Debbie Downers, always looking at the glass half empty, that type of thing, that will hold people back as well from being able to really, matriculate through to a greater place in their career. So those are probably two things.
I agree 100%. I agree. Next question. So what are some of the things that you've done to advance your career? Like, what are some professional development things, some personal development things, whatever it is that you've done on your own to advance your career?
So back in 2015, I did go ahead and get my master's degree in public administration because I know that was something that was keeping me from being able to move a little further, because, it used to be just having the bachelor's degree was it, but yeah, I felt like I needed to go ahead and get my master's degree. So I was able to do that. I also, I read. I am a reader.
Okay.
One of the books that kind of changed my life and my perspective was a book by Carol Dweck called Mindset. It was talking about the opening.
You talked about that in your book, right? You talked about that. Okay.
I sure did. And just how you have to adjust your mindset when it comes to change, and most people don't like change, but things are always changing. So you have to adjust your mindset when it comes to change. So I enjoy reading. I also watch YouTube channels and podcasts to try to learn from other people, of course, having other conversations with people. And I will say another thing that changed my life. I got a coach.
Say it again.
I got a coach. I got a coach who, I'm just going to go and tell you, it's my sister. But
first, let me tell you, it's her sister. She's my coach, and you're gonna be her coach. Yeah, go home, please.
That and I don't downplay anybody's gift. I don't care if you're my sister or if you're somebody that I'm just meeting, but my sister has a special gift, and I recognize her gift. And she started coaching me right when I decided I wanted to start writing this book. And when I tell you, she coached me all the way through it. And I paid my sister. Let's be clear.
I paid her sister.
Right. Exactly. I didn't take her gift for granted. I told her, I'm going to pay you because you are helping. You are changing my life. And that's what she did. And I would challenge anybody. Get you a coach. Get somebody who can help you through the processes, especially when you're going through life changes or you're trying to do something and you need the accountability, you need the support, you need the thought processing and thought partnership. Get you a coach.
Absolutely. So your sister, when I came back into the pharmaceutical industry, I reached out to your sister and I was like, I need help, right? And so as I'm talking to her, and I reached out to her for financial coaching, right? But then that turned into, so what else are you doing? So that turned into something else, and now we're here, right? And I didn't want to, and she's my line sister. We've been friends since college, but I didn't want to take that for granted. I didn't want to take her for granted because what she has poured into me, the steps that she's taken me through, this journey that she and I have been on has absolutely changed my life. Like, hands down, changed my life. Yes. So, I think you were at my house when I launched my online career course back in December of 2021. And I launched that course because of her. When I came back into the industry, she said, Felicia, you just did something special. I was like, I guess I did do something special, So I took her advice and pulled everything together. And so now, in addition to this podcast, my YouTube channel, there's an online course that I have created, that I have developed, teaching people how to enter the workforce, what the do's and don'ts of being in the workforce, how to interview, how to network, how to navigate your workspace, just all of these things, and how to land the job of their dreams. Okay, so yeah, so your sister has been the game changer in my life, just as she has been the game changer in your life. And so she'll be on the next episode. So I'm super excited about that. But I just want to encourage people. So, two things that you're going to walk away from this conversation with. First of all, you're going to go get this book and you're going to get whole, right? That's the first thing. You're going to heal, right, from all those traumas in your life. And then the second thing is go check out Camille's YouTube channel. You're already here on my YouTube channel, so thank you. But I also want you to go check out my website, which is www.thefocusgroupbyfelicia.com. Okay. And so we talk about what it's like to enter into the workforce. And I've made a lot of mistakes being in the workforce. Camille has made some mistakes. But I want you to go there because now there's a tool that can keep you from making these mistakes, that will keep you from entering the workforce and staying there way too long and not being appreciated and not moving up the ladder and not being promoted, right? And not understanding how to navigate your space. So go check it out. It's at, again, www.FeliciaHEatonLLC.com. Last question, Camille. What advice would you give someone who's just entering the workforce or someone who feels stuck? So it's a two-parter. And you're taking us out with this. What advice would you give to someone who's just entering the workforce or someone who is feeling stuck where they are?
Gotcha. So to the person who is just entering the workforce, you're fresh out of school, possibly out of college, out of training, I want to tell you, go for it. Don't be afraid to go the extra mile. Learn as much as you can learn from, whether it's your supervisor, whether it's from coworkers. Go into the job with confidence, okay? But don't have a teachable spirit, have a coachable spirit, but have confidence as well, knowing that, hey, I learned what I needed to learn from the training or from school or whatever, but there is more for me to learn. And then don't be afraid to ask for what you want. You know, ask your supervisor, are there opportunities for me to go to training? Can I work alongside you on a particular project because I want to learn more? Put yourself in positions to be able to learn. I'm a learner. I enjoy learning. So be in a learner's stance and be willing to go the extra mile so that you can learn as much as you need to learn. So if the opportunity, or when the opportunity presents itself, whether it's within that same organization or elsewhere, you can be even more prepared to move on from there.
I love it.
Yes. For the person who feels stuck, I need you to look at yourself first. Look internally and find out, why am I stuck here? Why do I feel stuck? And once you can answer that question, then you are able to get in a place where you can unstuck yourself, get unstuck.
Unstuck.
I know, get unstuck and get focused. You can get unstuck and start to move forward and ask the hard questions. Am I stuck because I'm afraid? Am I stuck because I fear failure? I fear being rejected, or I'm just comfortable. Okay. Yeah. I talk about that in my book, Complacency versus Contentment. It's okay to be content, but you don't want to be complacent. Okay. Right. There is more, and don't be afraid to go after your dream. What is it that you have always wanted to do that you're not doing, that you may be afraid to do? Start planning. Start planning. I'm not saying leave your job if you don't plan now. But start planning now so that maybe you can start to pursue what it is that you may have dreamt of doing, or that you desire to do beyond the four walls, maybe, of the job that you're in. Okay. All right. So that would be my advice.
That was so good. That was so good. Stop being so scared. Stop it. But
Got
playing,
to.
like,
Yes, honey.
oh, Camille, that was so good. I am so happy that you said yes to me. I was a little nervous. I was like, she's a major author now. She's an authorist now. It's too big to be on my little bitty podcast.
Girl, please. Never. I am humbled. I am
Yeah.
excited that you invited me.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. It's been a healing conversation. I think what we're going to call this podcast is Wholeness to Success.
Okay.
I like that. You
Yes.
Let's go with it.
Okay.
Listen, I'm super proud of you.
Thank
Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and being transparent about just your career journey. A lot of people have told me, Felicia, we really do love your podcast because a lot of people are not willing to share their story. And so a lot of people are just in the world having to figure it out on their own. So to have someone saying, this is what I did, but this is how I overcame, that's major, and that's helping a lot of people. So thank you so much for being so open and honest. And I really want people to go grab your book. This is an emotional roller coaster for me, but it was a healing process for me. I did some things when I started my business. I did some things prior to that I feel like was helped in my journey to heal, helped in my journey to become whole. But then I got knocked in the gut again, as we often do, right? Stuff happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so to read your book now, it's been like a re-healing of myself. And not old wounds, these are new wounds, child. New, brand new. Like brand new, spanking new, but may have the scar, but the scar will not impact my future.
That's
because it's healed. I know.
Yes, honey. Okay.
Thank you so much. I love you. I love your entire family. You know that. Thank you for being here. I wish you nothing but success moving forward. I can't wait to hear and see all of the amazing things that God has in store for you, because they're already in place. You just got to walk through them. Like, oh, okay, God, this is what. Okay. Like I understand that now. Like the path is already set. The journey already laid out. He's already laid and predestined our lives. It's just a matter of walking through and being able to handle those things at every turn, right? So
you can preach now. Pass the plate.
Pass the plate. Thank you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm super proud of you. Thank you so much for being here. Listen, my name is Felicia H. Walker, and you have just witnessed a career conversation with Camille Young. And I am just going to encourage you all that no matter what you do, get up, get moving, and do something to change your life. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking notes if you took notes. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye, Camille.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.